Florida Project is the latest film from A24, and it was directed by a man named Sean Baker, and it basically tells the story of what certain people go through when they have to live at these motels located right outside of Disney World. A lot of people consider that to be the happiest place on earth, but like right outside of it are these motels where there's a lot of poor people living there, a lot of trashy lifestyles going on there. Willem Dafoe runs one of the places, and you can see a lot of the people that kind of go there regularly through him. But this movie is mainly through the perspective of younger children, mostly from this young girl named Mooney, who lives all alone with her mother, played by Bria Venite, I think that's how you pronounce her name, who is an Instagram model in real life. And the movie just kind of goes from there. It doesn't really have a strict kind of 3-act structure. It's very loose. It takes place over this summer break, so there's just a lot of scenes happening. Now, it's that time of year again, January. Not only does that mean a lot of crap movies, presumably at least, it also means a lot of the Oscar films that came out limited at the end of last year are now being released to a wider audience here, and I was able to finally see The Florida Project. However, because of these films getting a wider release, it does mean that I'm probably going to be in the minority on certain films. I saw 2 other Oscar films. I won't say their names due to just keeping up secrets. One of them I thought was just decent, but a lot of people are considering it like the best of the year. Another film a lot of people are saying is like a really impressive directorial debut, and I thought it was just mediocre. And unfortunately, I kind of feel the same way about The Florida Project. There really isn't that much special to it. There's definitely some good things about it. I'm not gonna blindly hate this film just because I was mainly bored throughout it. There are good things about it, one of them being Willem Dafoe. He is, in my opinion, the best character in the entire film. I honestly was sitting there watching it thinking, like, if this movie was literally only about him and was told through his perspective the entire time, I think I would have been a little bit more positive with this, because every time he's on screen, like, I honestly got more interested in the film. Unfortunately, though, this movie is from the perspective of these younger children, more specifically Mooney, and these young actors, I will give them credit. They were very good. Mainly because a lot of younger children who are in other movies or in TV shows, they're very cringy and they're awful, unrealistic. In this film, they portray the kids in a realistic sense. They don't really know much about the world. They're very innocent, so they do a lot of innocent, childlike things. And it's realistic in that sense, and the actors, considering their age, are actually pulling it off very well. This is a kind of double-edged sword complaint, though, because me, honestly, I can't stand kids. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, you were a kid once too, and I'm sorry, I just don't like kids. And through the majority of this film, it's from the perspective of these kids, and they're doing kid things that I find very annoying. So even though they're doing something right as far as realistic, it's also just very annoying to me. However, the annoyance with the kids actually started to die down a little bit, like somewhere near the middle of the film, and I was like, okay, they're not as annoying anymore. Unfortunately, that's when they kind of shift into a heavy focus on Mooney's mother, played by Bria Venite, I think that's how you pronounce the last name, I apologize. But she was an Instagram model before this film. Sean Baker saw her and decided to cast her in this film. And I will give her credit, though. She is supposed to play a really trashy mom. Terrible at her job of being a mother. She's just totally embraced in this lifestyle. You can tell, though, that she doesn't want to be in this lifestyle, but it's just corrupted her morally. And through that perspective, I was like, okay, you've captured it. You captured the realism of it. The actress, she did a very good job playing this trashy, deplorable person. It's another double-edged sword kind of complaint, though, because at the same time, she's very irritating. She is not someone you are supposed to like, and that's obvious, but she's not a watchable, unlikable person. You know what I mean? Like, in other movies like Nightcrawler, where Jake Gyllenhaal is playing this totally, like, psychotic character, but he's just so fascinating to watch. It's so fascinating studying his character. Or another A24 film that came out last year that was on my honorable mentions for best, Good Time. I didn't review it yet, but Robert Pattinson, he is playing a douchebag, like, through and through, but his character is fascinating to watch. And I was just thinking, like, what's so different about these characters that is different than the mom character in this film? And I think it's mainly just because of the writing and the dialogue. like Robert Pattinson in Good Time. Like, he's a douchebag, but he's like a clever kind of douchebag. He's like thinking like throughout this night of like how he can get his brother out of prison, because trying to get his brother out of prison right now is like the only good thing about his character, and he's trying to go about this in really bad ways, you know what I mean? And the writing that goes with his character is excellent. Robert Pattinson delivers it with excellence. Same with Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler, which I mentioned earlier. This character, though portrayed realistically, and she is very trashy and unlikable, like it would be in real life. Like you watch this movie and you'll be like, I feel like I've seen this mom like several other times, like at a Walmart. But writing-wise in the story, like there's really nothing that engaging about her, because it's not from her perspective. We're not really getting inside the mindset of her. It's, once again, like I said, through the perspective of this kid Mooney. So you're just kind of watching it happen, and though it is realistic, it's nothing that'll really engage you with it, at least not for me, because I wasn't really feeling like I was getting inside the head of this woman. It just felt like I was watching her do things that are realistic, but I would like to understand her more, which is kind of like how I was feeling like if you just switch the character perspective either to this mom or to Willem Dafoe, like I feel like I'd like this movie a little bit more. Instead, it's through the kid's perspective. And that's not a horrible idea, but it's just that the way they kind of executed it in the end, just I was not really that interested in, because this movie is very slow. It takes place over a summer break, so they're kind of meandering a lot through it. Some scenes really feel out of place here and there. There are certain moments, though, where I felt like the movie's kind of ratcheting up. It's going to lead into this kind of payoff that is going to make me change my mind on the whole movie. And it really didn't, because the movie decides to end in this oddly out-of-place art house kind of ending. That I get the metaphor, I get what they're trying to say with that, but I was just sitting there thinking, like, you didn't have any of this imagination stuff happen earlier in the film, but now there suddenly is one. Like, I thought the goal was realism, and instead you gave us an art house ending at the last second. Like, what was that about? If the movie was giving us several other imagination sequences, like, throughout the rest of the film, and then the movie ended with this, I think I would have been a little bit more forgiving, because they clearly established that the kids do this, but right at the very end, it's the only time where they do an imagination thing, which, number one, they changed the camera to an iPhone, which was very distracting, and number two, when they go this route of doing this ending, it doesn't really feel like you get closure. Like, you can assume things that have happened afterwards, but it doesn't really give you the closure you needed. I wanted to know what was going to happen with Willem Dafoe, the mom, the kids. I wanted to know, and instead they gave us this kind of ending that doesn't really end in a place where I was at least satisfied with where the characters went. Because as I mentioned earlier, there were certain moments near the end of the film where it felt like it was going to ratchet up and kind of lead into something else, and right when I thought they're going to do something really clever here, it just kind of dissipates into this, like, iPhone shot camera work, and I was like, what was that about? And speaking of camera work, before they do cut to that iPhone crap at the very end, the cinematography is very good, mainly because of the color grading. The colors really bounce in this film, and I thought that was a really good way of just making this very unappealing, trashy place feel a little bit more visually appealing to look at least. So that was a very clever thing to do as far as that goes. It's nothing that's going to make me interested in the story, though. Like, I still feel the same way that I was just not engaged with this film at all. The characters weren't really engaging me, as realistic as they were coming off. It's just not something that was really interesting me to keep watching, you know? I was getting kind of a headache because of the kids at first, and then while they were dying down, I was like, okay, they're going to cool it with that. They just cut to the mom character being a heavy focus, and she was even more annoying in my opinion. And it was just this never-ending feeling of just boredom and then annoyance coming from the characters. As I mentioned already, it's fine to have realism in your movies, but for me, it wasn't really executed in a way that was watchable or made me think like, wow, that was a fascinating watch. It was just kind of irritating to watch. And when the movie ended, I was like, that was a really weird ending, but honestly, I'm just glad it's done, because the story just was not one that I really cared to continue to watch. I understand the director kind of wanted to bring awareness to the kind of lifestyle these people out in Florida, outside of Disney World, have at these motels, and I can kind of commend him for trying to do that, and a lot of people are liking this film. Once again, I'm in the minority, so I don't share the popular opinion, and I'm not trying to say that you guys need to suddenly feel this way. It's just, for me, it's just not a movie that I really cared for that much, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really have that kind of slow burn effect for me, like something like Wind River did, where the whole movie's kind of slow, but I was fascinated throughout, and it just kind of ratchets up into this really great climax. This movie doesn't really stick to a 3-act structure, which is fine. You can have a loose, structured film as long as it's executed in a way where I was enjoying myself, where I'd recommend it to other people. And I would recommend it, but only to like a select few people who kind of like these kind of movies. I wouldn't really try to spread this movie's awareness to other people like, oh, you're gonna love this, go see it. Like, it's just like, it wasn't for me, and I can see this not being for a lot of other people. Like, it's definitely a niche kind of film that only, like, the Oscar bait kind of people will really enjoy. And if you do enjoy this film, that's perfectly fine. But for me, I wasn't really a fan. I'm gonna give the Florida Project a C-. I do give it credit for certain moments that I was getting interested in. The performances are really good. There's no weak link. It's just that besides Willem Dafoe, no one really impressed me all that much. The kids were really good, and I give them credit for that, but it was nothing like amazing. Nothing on like the caliber of like that small kid from Looper, and the mom character, as realistic as she was, just wasn't a fascinating character study like realistic portrayal. So if you are more into the kind of movie that Florida Project is, I think you should see it just for your own sake, because you will probably like it more. It's just for me. If you kind of agree with me with a lot of other movies and you think you might agree with me on this, like you saw the trailer and kind of got that vibe, then maybe don't see it. It's not really worth your time if you're like me in this sense. But if you've seen the Florida Project already, leave in the comments below what you thought of it. And I'm sorry I couldn't get you an Insidious The Last Key review this weekend. The place is snowed. If you saw my last video, like Virginia Beach is like completely snowed out. I can't go anywhere. I can't go to the theater to see it. Molly's Game just expanded. I can't really see that currently. I'm stuck at home. So you get a Florida Project review instead. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.